Okay, let's start our session today. Today we are going to discuss, we are going to talk about National Teacher Training Program, NTTP Egypt, Year 3 Training, Tag 1, Session A. Let's start with, at first, we should follow these steps. We have some steps we should follow, all of us. Do you hear me clear? My voice is clear? Who can answer? My voice is clear? My friend, my voice is clear?
لا سكوت.
Clear?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
My voice is clear? Okay. Let's start. We should follow these steps. The first one, sign in on time. This is the first time for all of us. The second, keep the mic muted. The third is listen. Fourth, look at the screen. Raise your hand if you want to speak. Don't draw on the screen. Use non-verbal feedback. And the last one is don't interrupt, respect each other. Today's agenda, we are going to talk about some points. We start with an icebreaker. This is the first. The second is an introduction about our program. Understanding methods and approaches in ELT, English language teaching. The first one, what do we need? If you want, as a teacher, what do you need to? We need to what? Do you have an idea about this picture? What do we need? We need to what? Who can give me his opinion or her opinion about this picture? What do we need as a teacher? We need to what?
Think more.
We need to think more. Okay, Mr. Yasser.
Talk less. And talk less.
All of us need to think more. We think about some steps or some strategies or some techniques we can use to improve yourself, and we can't or we couldn't talk more. We can talk less. Okay, Mr. Yasser. An introduction about our program. What's NTTP? What are NTTP objects? What are teacher activities groups? Listen carefully to the video and try to think about it. Now, okay, listen.
Do you want to find interesting ways to practice your English language skills? Are you interested in developing yourself as a teacher and making your lessons fun and engaging? Well, we have something that's just for you. The National Teacher Training Program, NTTP, is an exciting new project initiated by the Ministry of Education and the British Council to assist primary school teachers all across Egypt. As part of NTTP, the British Council is supporting teachers by setting up teacher activity groups, or tags, in their local areas. In tags, teachers from the same area come together every month and take part in teaching and learning activities to help develop their own English language skills and learn about new teaching ideas and techniques to help them in making their lessons more interactive and engaging for themselves and for their students. In these tags, teachers use materials found in an activity resource book that has been provided by the British Council. By using these resources, teachers can practice their English together through language practice tasks, discussions, and role play. Learn, share, and try out new teaching ideas that teachers can then try out themselves in their own classrooms. Watch and discuss training videos, which show them how to do these activities in their own lessons with their students. Reflect and make new action plans of new things to try out that can be implemented into their classrooms. Tags are facilitated by a teacher who has been trained by the British Council to be a teacher educator. These teacher educators facilitate the activities and discussions so that everyone can take part in the class, share the ideas, and learn from each other. After the tag, teachers keep in touch using social media groups, where they can continue to practice their language skills and discuss their ideas and experiences about teaching, so that the learning and sharing can continue. So what are you waiting for? Come together with other teachers in your area and take charge of your learning. It's your development, it's your tag. Come and join one today.
This is an introduction about our program. We are going to discuss these topics this year. The first one, understanding methods and approach in ELT, engaging with the pronunciation techniques and activities, learning technologies for low resources, learning technologies online platforms, engaging with the professional development, peer observation, and the last one is engaging with vocab recording and recycling. After each topic, we have a reflection and an action plan. After each topic, these are topics we are going to talk about this year. Let's start with the first one, understanding methods and approach in ELT. The first, by the end of this session, we will have identify inductive and deductive approaches to learning, summarize a range of ELT approaches, outline the benefits and the drawbacks of different approaches, related what we have learned to your teacher context. Let's start with some techniques. Teaching approach. There have been 4 different approaches. Can you guess them? The first one and the second one, the third and the fourth. What do you think? The first one, what is this? What do you think of the first one? Go on, Miss Hiba. Miss Hiba, raise your hand. Can you speak, Miss Hiba? Who can say? First one, this is abbreviation of the word what? Who can guess the word or the sentence of this abbreviation? G and T. What is this? Do you have an idea? Who can speak? Can you, Mr. Yasser? Mr. Yasser.
I'm thinking.
Okay. Please, Mr. Yasser, I ask you to take a screenshot for the participant if you can. Please. Can you? Okay. Ms. Sahar, I am very proud to share us. Do you think what is this? Is it Ms. Sahar? GT, what does it mean? Anyone who can speak? Okay, the first one, I do it for you. The first one is grammar translation. But what about the second two? The second one, the second. What do you think? What is this? Anyone can speak? Who can speak? Okay, the second one is direct method. The third one, do you have an idea? Okay, who can speak? Mr. Yasser.
I can say the fourth.
You can say the fourth.
Only. I can.
Mr. Hani, number 3. What do you think, Mr. Hani? Mr. Hani, you raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Hani, what do you think number 3 is?
I think it is approach and learning.
Listen to me. It's an audio language. What is about the last one, Mr. Yasser? What do you think?
Yes.
Go on, Mr.
I think communicative language teaching.
Communicative language teaching. Thank you, Mr. Yasser.
Yeah,
Let's go to
yeah.
teaching approach. I'll give you some information about each one. I'll ask you to say what is this. Okay. Please, can you read, Mr. Yasser? Can you read?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go on, Mr. Yasser.
Learners analyze, translate sentences from the original language. There is little or no focus on developing oral ability.
What is this? What do you think? What's the approach? What do we are going to talk about? Learning, analyze, grammar, and translate. What do you think? From the last four. Learners analyze, grammar, and translate sentences from the original language. What do you think? What is this? Mr. Hani, can you speak? Who can speak? Miss Sahar.
Yes, yes.
Go on, Mr.
Grammar
Hani.
translation.
Thank you, Miss Sahar. This is a grammar translation.
Translation.
What about number 2? Can you read it, Mr. Hani, please?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Hani, read it.
The theory behind the method is that second language learning is similar to how we learn our first language. The focus is on oral interaction with no translation and little or no focus on grammar or rule. Vocabulary is taught through pictures and objects.
Thank you, Mr. Hani. What do you think? What is this?
Me, okay?
Okay, can you go on, Mr. Hani?
What do you think? What do you mean by all this?
What is this approach we are going to talk about? The theory behind that is the second language learning. We learning focus on oral interaction, no translation, no little focus on grammar or rules. What do you think of this? From
The approach. Okay.
What is this approach? Huh?
I think it's vocabulary teaching.
Okay, Mr. Rida Zarif, do you think what is this, Mr. Rida?
I think the meaning of the new vocab.
I talk about the four approach we are going to talk about. The last four approach. We say it's a direct method, a natural method. We learn from interaction.
Direct method. Yes.
Okay. Look at okay. About number 3. Who can read it? I think I need someone else.
Can I read it? Can I?
Who can? Miss Sahar, go on.
Yes,
Miss Sahar.
yes, Mr. Yes.
Go on, Miss Sahar.
The theory behind the theory behind this method is that learning a language means learning habits. The new language is heard and drilled before it is seen and it's written for. Learners repeat and memorize set phrases and grammar structures. Grammar is not explained. Language is learned in context. Audio recording and visual are used.
What do you think of it? I think it is clear.
I think it's audiolingual method.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Sahar. This is audiolingual. It's related to audio recording and visual are used. What about the last one? Who can read it? Who can read it? Can you, Mr. Rida?
This method focuses on helping learners to communicate with different real-life situations. There is focus in all skills, grammar, vocabulary. Learners use language to communicate.
Communicate meaning. What is this? What do you think? What is this?
Communicate. The last one. CL. Yes.
The last one.
The last one.
Language teaching. Now,
yes.
Okay. We have two ways of learning. The first one is detective learning, and the second one is inductive learning. Do you have an idea about detective learning? Who have?
Yes,
do you have any idea
yes,
about?
Mr.
Go in, Ms. Sahar.
Yes. Okay. Detective learning means We go from general ideas or information to specific. We set the rules or the grammar first to the students and then give them examples to explain this grammar or explain this rule. We go from generalizations to specific, from the general to the specific, from the whole set to the parts.
Okay, it's related to teacher-centered approach.
Yes, it is a teacher-centered approach. The teacher is the main role or the hero of this theory. The learners here are participants only or respective receivers.
Okay, Ms. Sahar, I agree with you. This is detective learning. In this approach, there is a very little exploration done by the learners. It's quite teacher-centered. Some learners really do prefer it, maybe because they are more familiar with it, or sometimes because it is less work for them. The detective approach is time-saving and allows more time for practicing the language items, which means it's an effective approach with lower level learners is related to teacher-centered rule first and passive. It depends on all rules related to the teacher-centered approach. What about inductive learning?
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab.
Go on, Ms. Rahab. Thank you. Go on.
Inductive learning is a student-centered strategy.
It depends. It's related to students or
student-centered strategy. It's a sort of discovery learning that focuses on students, where students discover rules by observing examples.
Okay, Mr. Rahab, thank you. In this approach of teaching, on the other hand, involves asking learners to work to discover language. It's more useful for learners who already have a base in the language, or it encourages them to use their knowledge to work things out. It's related to learner-centered problem solving and active. Now, listen to the teachers talking about these their approaches to teach grammar. Ask you as you listen, write down. We have 3 questions. The main idea of each approach, this is the first. Whether you think it's inductive or deductive, your opinion about it. Now, are you ready? Let's start with the first one. Listen carefully and try to think. It's inductive or deductive learning. And what's your opinion about it? Listen carefully, please.
1.
You don't really need to teach grammar explicitly, saying things like, this is the past perfect and you form it like this. That's unnecessary. Learners will pick it up for themselves. If they want more grammar, the teacher can give them exercises to do outside class, but don't waste precious class time teaching it. I think it's better to teach learners to communicate, to practice as much as possible in class with real language. Grammar will look up.
Do you have an idea?
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Rida, go on, Mr. Rida.
I think it is deductive to learning. Deductive.
Inductive approach, huh?
Yes. Okay. Deductive because here the teacher is the center of the approach. He teaches the grammar and let the pupils to understand, teach or the new vocab, and let the pupils or students to practice the language. Here, the teacher is the center of the approach.
Okay. Listen to the other. Listen to the other one. Another one.
2. I always look over a new unit in a book and then teach my learners the grammar rule before we even begin the unit. I explain the rules that are going to come up and then do some exercises with the class. That really helps them to be clear about what the unit is about, and they can do the activities in the unit better. I think they learn better that way.
Okay. What do you think? It is inductive or deductive learning? Who can speak?
Mr. AbdulWahab.
Go on, Ms. Sahar.
I think the second teacher is using the deductive approach. He said, I'll teach my students the rule, the grammar. So he
Okay.
set the rule first,
He,
then give them examples or exercises to apply the rule.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Sahar. I agree with you. He is deductive. He gave rules and asked the pupils to follow these rules and try to do it. What about number 3?
3. Whatever you teach, you have to include fun in it, even if it is grammar. I believe teachers should somehow link it with real-life situations. Experiencing is the best way of learning, so it must be something visual and oral. The more concrete it is, the better the result will be. The thing is, the learner should link the language with a real experience.
Okay. What do you think?
Yes, Mr. Abdul.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Rida, I want another
Yes.
one. Give me a chance, Mr. Rida, to ask another one. Can
Yes,
you,
sure.
Mr. Ibrahim Abdullah? Ibrahim, can you speak, please?
You.
Go on, Mr. Ibrahim.
Okay, I have just logged in. Okay, I don't know what are you talking about, but I think I heard the last question. Okay, I think it's inductive, but I don't know why.
You think it's inductive, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay. Another idea. What do you think, Miss Iman Abdulrahman? Miss Iman Abdulrahman, can you speak, please? Another one. Miss Hiba Ahmed. Miss Nagla. Another one. Mr. Yasser, can you speak? Okay.
Yes.
Who's speaking?
Yes, Mr. Abdul
Mr.
Wahab.
Rida. Go on, Mr.
Yes.
Rida.
I think it is inductive. Inductive. In my opinion, here the students can practice the real life situation. Practice the real life situation.
He used real life
Okay, Mr.
situations. He used
Okay,
real
Mr.
situations. He wants them to link the language with the situation or the real life situation.
Yes.
Can you, do you want to speak, Ms. Sahar?
Yes, Mr. Abdulwahab.
Go on, Ms. Sahar.
I think these teachers merge two approaches together: the inductive approach for learning and communicative language learning.
Okay, I agree with you, Ms. Sahar.
She let them observe and watch everything in life and make rules or make generalizations from specific parts. So she believes in experience as the main way to acquire language.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sahar. Let's go to the last one.
4. I think grammar should always be practiced in context. Using tasks that develop the 4 skills, learners should be working with meaning so that they produce the structure freely before moving on to the next grammar structure. After the task-based activities, you can follow on with an analysis of the structure used and try to elicit the form and use from the learners.
What do you think about him? Who can speak? Who can?
Yes.
Go on, Ms. Sahar.
Okay. This teacher's use is the direct method. Okay.
Give me chance
Yes.
to ask Miss Nagla Abdul Azim.
Okay.
Can you speak, Miss
Tamam.
Nagla?
Okay.
Miss Nagla Abdul Azim, can you speak, please? Miss Abir Rahman, Mr. Ayman, Miss Hiba, I don't know the name.
Mr. Ibrahim.
Mr. Ibrahim, go on, Mr. Ibrahim.
I'm not going to go on, but I think it's deductive. Okay.
Deductive.
But I don't know why.
Okay. Can you speak, Mr. Hab?
Yeah.
I think it's inductive approach because it depends on analysis.
Okay, he used an inductive approach because he used. Let's check your answer. The first one, this teacher used an inductive approach. She feels that it's important not to direct teach grammar. She prefers to teach them communication skills and gives them practice time. It's not clear how she is teaching them grammar. The second one, the teacher has a very teacher-led approach to grammar, a deductive approach to explain the rules, as you say, Miss Sahar, before starting the unit, and they can understand. The last one, it is possible to use real-life situations and fun context. For deductive teaching, it's possible, but usually a deductive approach is more centered on rules outside of context. The last one, there is a few keywords and phrases here that tells us the teacher used an inductive approach. Now we have some other approach for listening, different lesson planning models. We have PPP, this is the abbreviation of some approach. TPL, try to think of them. TTT, LA, and the last one TBR, and we have another one DGD. What do you think? Number one is PPP. What do you think of this approach? Do you have an idea? Who can speak? PPP. What is this?
So what should we say?
Pupil participation.
Okay.
Pupil participation or what?
You may change the question, Mr.AbdulWahab.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Ibrahim. This is abbreviation of some approach or method we can use in class. We call it presentation, practice, production. Presentation, practice, production. What about number two, TBL? Think of it. Who can speak? I think
task-based learning. Task-based learning.
Task-based learning. Okay, thank you, Mr. Task-based learning. What about TTT? Okay, Mr. Hani. I'm sorry, Mr. Hani. Can you speak? Okay, TTT means?
I think it is teacher time talk.
Teacher time talk. Another idea? It is test, teach test. What about number 4? LA. Okay, LA, it means lexical approach. TBR, I think all of us, you know what the meaning of TBR?
Yes.
Okay,
Total response.
Total physical response. Okay. So what about GD? What about GD?
Grammar and definition?
It is guided discovery.
Discussion.
Discovery. This is guided discovery. Let's talk about each one. Presentation, practice, production. Do you have an idea about the presentation, practice, production? I think all of us as a teacher, we use this method or this approach in our class. This depends on in our lesson planning. Do you have an idea about it?
Yes.
Who can give me his opinion? Ms. Sahar.
I think most of us. I think most of us use this.
Okay. Ms. Sahar, I think. Please don't speak. I ask another one. I'll give a chance for other participants. Please.
Okay.
Ms. Sahar. Who can speak? Another participant. Miss Wala.
Yes, Mr. Abdulwahab. Yes, Mr. Abdulwahab.
Mr. Who is speaking?
Yes, Rida.
Stop, please, Mr. Rida. I ask another participant. Give us chance to others to speak. I hope some other participant to participate or to speak. Who can? Okay. Let's start with Ms. Sahar, and I'll ask you at the second, Mr. Reza. Go on, Ms. Sahar.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Abdulwahab. I think most of us use this approach in his planning or in his classes. Most of us have set some exercises or some tasks for the students to be done in class or as homework. Most of us, first of all, we set the rules, we set the grammar, or we set the general ideas for the students and ask them to deal with the examples or deal with the exercises. We focus on the productivity for the students, how much exercises they can do or they can solve either in the class or outside the classroom. So we focus here on the production, on the quantity of their work, not on the quality. I think it's not good idea for us to focus on how much they can solve, how many exercises or how many tasks they can do after our explanation for the grammar or for the rule itself.
Thank you, Ms. Sahar. Can you speak, Mr. Reza? Go on, Mr. Reza.
Yes, Mr. Abdulwahab. I'm going to talk in brief.
Okay.
I think this is concerning with lesson plan. What is a lesson plan? We can say that lesson plan, it is a map that tells the teacher when he can start and finish his lesson. And this lesson plan contains with some steps. Everyone know these steps, and I think lesson plan, the objective, the teacher must achieve his objectives at the end of the lesson. This is we call evaluation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reza. Presentation, we start with warm up and we use actual presentation. We use check understanding, teaching highlights meaning, form, and pronunciation. We have practice, we have controlled practice, student practice, the target language with controlled activities. Production, we have free practice, independent practice, and the last one, learners try to personalize the language and use it in less controlled activity. This approach, we have some pros and cons of PPP model. What is the pros of
advantages
and what is advantage and disadvantage, or we still see it cons of the PP model? You can speak, Mr. Reda, to give a chance to another participant who can. Miss Nafisa, can you speak, Miss Nafisa? Miss Nafisa Ibrahim, can you speak?
Give me some time, please.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim.
أنا الحتة دي فاتتني والله، كنت خرجت من الزوم معلش، مانيش عارفة يعني إيه بي معلش توضحها لي.
Presentation, practice, production. Presentation, practice, production. This is, we call it presentation. PPP means presentation, practice, production. It has some pros and it has some cons. What do you think? What is the pros of it? What is the advantage of it? What is the benefit of it? Of this approach? Can you speak?
No.
Okay. Who has an idea? Okay.
Can I speak?
Can you speak? Go, Ms. Sahar.
Okay, I think one of the disadvantages is safe time in classroom, as it's direct and go to the idea directly. So we can use it in difficult or high-level rules or instructions to save time in classroom.
I agree with you. It can save a lot. It can save time.
A lot of time. Yes.
It saves time. It saves time. It depends only on the teacher. The teacher has this is what we call a teacher-centered approach. All of these things, the teacher act.
Okay.
It is more suitable for low-level learners.
Okay, and it's more suitable for high-level rules.
Okay, but another method is suitable for them. I'll give you another method which approach can help you. It's an easy approach for new teachers to grasp. It's easy. You can present, you can practice, and you can production. Teachers feel confident. They have taught the materials. In this approach depends on the teacher. The teacher feels confident. He gives information and he can reflect it. What are the cons of the cons? What are the cons of the PP model?
It gives no chance for the pupils to practice the language.
Okay. What else? Language structures tend to be isolated and unnatural. Teachers lead, not learner centered. This approach depends on the teacher, not the learner. Learners know what to expect. Learners expect the step after that. If you start, the learners can expect what we can talk about or predict what we're going to talk about. Some learners may find it boring. Another one, stage of TBL disinductively, task-based learning. Do you have an idea about task-based learning? Do you have an idea about it?
I think it's similar to inductive approach.
It's inductive approach, okay.
Yes.
It starts with pre-task. And the second with task cycle. The third with language focus. Start with the pre-task introduction to topics and tasks. Can you read Mr.AbdulWahab this? Can you read it? Mr.
Yes, teacher explores with the class, helps learners to understand the instructions and prepare.
Teacher explores topic and helps students, learners to understand the instruction. But what about task cycle? We have the task, planning, and report. Can you read it, Miss Nagla? Miss Nagla Abdul, can you read? Okay, Miss Nafisa, can you read it? Go on. Can you read?
Okay.
Go on.
Learners do the task in pairs or small groups while the teacher monitor. The teacher monitor.
The learners are sit in pairs or small groups. The teacher are monitoring them. But what about planning? Planning.
Learners prepare to report to the whole class, oral or written, how they did the task and or what they discover.
Okay. Thank you. Miss Nagla, can you speak report? Okay. Go on, Miss Nagla.
Some groups present their reports to the class or exchange written reports and compare results.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nagla. What about language focus, analysis, and practice? Who can read? Who can help us? Who can read? Can you, Miss Abir Ahmed? Miss Abir Ahmed, can you read? Miss Abir Ahmed? Mr. Hani, can you read, Mr. Hani?
Yes, I'm with you.
Go on, Mr. Hani. Read it, please.
Analysis. Yes. Learners examine and discuss specific features.
Okay.
And practice. The teacher. Sorry.
Okay. Go on.
The teacher conducts practice of new words, phrases, and patterns.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. What do you think pros and cons of TBL model? What is the pros and what is the cons? Do you have an idea?
Yes.
Okay, go on. Who's speaking, Mr. Hani?
Yes, pros means advantages, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Pros of TBL model, I think it's more good. Okay. The pros of sorry, it is BBBL, not TBL.
TBL.
No, it's written here BBB.
No, TBL.
No, yes,
Okay. Can you read it? Galaxy M11. Please write your name, please. Galaxy. I don't know your name. Please write your name. Can you speak Galaxy M11? Can you read it? Galaxy. Okay. Another participant, Mr. Ibrahim Abdullah. Ibrahim Abdullah.
Yes, I'm watching.
Can you read it, Mr. Ibrahim? Go on.
I
Mr.
may.
Ibrahim.
I may.
Okay.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah, pros and cons of the TBL model.
Okay.
Question 1. What are the pros of the PPP model?
Okay. This is.
It draws.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't change it. I'm sorry. This is my fault. Go on, Mr. Go on.
What should I read? What should I read?
Read the pros.
Pros and cons of the TBL model. Okay, what are the pros of the PPP model?
This
draws on.
Read it draws on learners'
knowledge and language and is a bottom-up approach.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
What are the cons of the PP model?
Okay, read it, please.
It takes a long time, and the learners may not have enough language knowledge.
Thank you, Mr. Brent. Thank you. We have types of TBL activities like brainstorming, ordering, classifying, problem solving, sharing personal experience, comparing, and the last one is creative thought. Let's go to another one, test, teach, test model. This is deductive and inductive approach. What does it mean? Do you have an idea about test, teach, test? Can you speak, Miss Saha?
Yes.
Oh, go on. Who's speaking?
Yes.
Go on, Miss Nagla.
A student solve task without help from teacher, then he presents the target, then they solve another task.
Okay, thank you. This is, who can read? Can you read, Miss Saha? Miss Saha البيومي, can you read it?
Yes, Mr. بس معلش الخط صغير بس. ماشي, okay. It's an approach to teaching where learners first complete a task or activity without help from the teacher. Then, based on the problems seen, the teacher plans and presents the target language. The learners then do another task or practice the new language.
Thank you, Miss Saha. What are the pros of the TTT model, and what are the cons of TT model? Who can speak?
Yes.
Go on, Miss Nagla.
The pros is identify the needs of the class.
Okay. So what are the cons?
The cons?
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, I do it.
Okay.
What are the pros? Who can read it? Who can read it?
Can I, Mr.?
Okay, can you, Miss Sahar?
Okay. Good for reviewing language and assessing what learners know.
Okay. Good for reviewing language. We can use it for reviewing the language.
Okay.
What are the cons of it?
It relies on the teacher preparing lots of materials they may not use.
They may
not use.
The lexical approach. Do you have an idea about lexical approach?
Yes.
Who can speak? Lexical approach. Who can speak? I do it. I'll ask someone to read it. Can you read it, Ms. Rahab?
The lexical approach is a way of analyzing and teaching language based on the idea that it made up lexical units rather than grammatical. Sorry.
Grammatical. Okay.
Grammatical structure. The units are
collections and
phrases.
Fixed phrases. Okay. Stages of lexical approach. Observe, hypothesize, experiment. Observe means Miss Nafisa, can you read it, please? Okay.
Yes, learners can be encouraged to notice or observe language that is relevant to them.
Okay. The another one, can you read it? Galaxy M11. Who can read it? Who can read it? Who can? Another one.
I may read.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Who can read?
Okay, Mr. I'm going to read. Okay.
Mr. Ibrahim, go on.
Okay. I don't know how to say or to read this word, the hypothesis. Okay, that's good.
Hypothesis.
Hypothesis. Okay. Hypothesis. Learners work out the function of the language from the context.
Okay. Experiment. This is the last one. Who can read it? Another participant can share us. Who can? Miss Nagla.
Yes.
Mr. Rada, please, Mr. Rada. Please.
Yes. Fine.
Give a chance for other. I want another person. Mr. Yasser. Can you speak, Mr. Yasser?
Yes.
Go on, Mr.
Yes.
Yasser. We want.
Finally, the teacher arranges. Yeah. Okay. Finally, the teacher arranges a controlled or free activity where learners practice the language. The activities can range from matching and gap fills to role plays and writing.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Yasser. Thank you. What do you think? Okay. What is the pros of cons of the lexical approach? What do you think? What are they? Miss Abir Ahmed. Can you speak, Miss Abir Ahmed?
Yes, I can.
Go on, Miss Abir.
Yes, real and native language.
Another one?
Yeah, shows language in use.
Okay. What are the cons of the lexical approach?
Wide range of language make is different for of learners.
Okay. Another one?
Limited use of
idiomatic phrases. We are going to talk about total physical response inductive. Do you have an idea about total physical response?
Yes, Mr. AbdulWahab.
Yes. Who can speak? Mr. Rida?
Yes.
Please, Mr. Rida. Give a chance to other participants. Please, Mr. Rida. Please, Mr. Rida.
Yes.
Who can speak? Mr.
Yes.
Rahab? Please, Mr.
Yes.
Rahab. Please, Mr. Rahab. Please don't speak. I'll ask another participant. Please, Mr. Rahab. Mr. Rahab.
Okay.
Sorry. Mr. Ibrahim Shahad, can you speak, Mr. Ibrahim Shahad? Ibrahim Shahad, can you speak? Mr. Iman, go on, Mr. Ibrahim.
Yes.
What do you have? What do you think of total physical response?
It was done upon the way that children learn their mother tongue.
Okay. Another idea. Can you speak, Mr. Rahab?
Yes.
Go on, Mr.
Teacher gives the students instructions and students follow these instructions by using the whole body response. It needs or requires physical movements.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rahab. Can you add something, Mr. Rida Zarif?
Yes, I think this approach, the teacher uses this approach when we use the body in learning, like when we want to mime an action verbs, when we want to sing some songs by using our bodies, like hands up, hands down, and the pupils here or the students can have fun with this body language.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rida.
Okay, Mr. AbdulWahab,
can you? Read Miss Sahar, please. Read it.
Okay. Okay. CPR is an approach to teaching language based on the idea that if you have to do something physical in response to language, then learning is more meaningful, and you learn faster. For example, the learners are looking at the action verb. The teacher says jump, and they jump. It's easy.
Okay. What are the pros of the TBR, and what are the cons of TBR? Do you have an
Yes.
idea?
Okay.
The same participant, please give me a chance to ask another participant. Ms. Daulat Ibrahim Minshawi, can you speak, Ms. Daulat? Mr. Muhammad? Ms. Daulat?
What are the pros of the TBR model?
Okay, what do you think? What is the pros of the TBR model? What do you think?
May I speak?
I'll give Ms. Daulat a chance to read it, please. Read it, Ms. Daulat, please.
It associates action with memory and meaning. Learners experience language.
Okay. What are the cons of the TBR? Can you read it, Ms. Daulat?
Some learners may not enjoy TBR activities limited for teaching abstract.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Daulat. The last one is guided discovery. What do you mean by guided discovery? Do you have an idea about it? Who is speaking? Who can speak? Mr. Ibrahim Shahad? Ms. Sahar? Miss Nagla Abdulalim? Miss Nagla Abdulalim, can you speak? Miss Nagla Abdulalim? Okay, who can speak?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Hani. Go on, Mr. Hani.
I'm not sure, but I say something.
Say anything, Mr. Hani. We learn from each other.
Okay. It's guided and discovery. That's guided discovery. That means I give some information to students to discover, but with some certain rules, or I guide them the way to discover it. That's, I think it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hani. Please, who can speak? Miss Hiba? Go on, Miss Hiba Ahmed. Go on. Okay.
I think the term guided discovery refers to teaching and learning environment where students are actively participating in discovering knowledge.
Okay.
I think.
Thank you.
Yes.
May I speak?
Yes.
Mr. Ibrahim, please, Mr. Rada. Go on, Mr. Ibrahim Shahad.
Yes, it's a technique where a teacher provides examples of language items and helps the learners to find the roles themselves.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Can you speak, Mr. Rada?
May I add something?
Who can speak? Another one. Who
Yes.
can speak?
Ibrahim Abdullah, Mr. Ibrahim Abdullah.
Go on, Mr. Ibrahim.
Really, in my opinion, I think it doesn't work with teaching language, this guided discovery, because it may work better with teaching mechanics, electricity, something else. But in teaching language, it may be replaced by skimming, scanning. It doesn't work well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ibrahim.
Yes, Mr.
Speak, Go on, Mr. Rida.
I think this approach is very important for the teacher, and I think it is related to the brainstorming technique. For example, when the teacher says to the pupil, why do we need water? I think by using brainstorming, we need water for drinking, for washing our clothes, for watering our plants. And at the end, we select the right answer. Here, the students discover their answers true or false. Thank you very much.
Okay. This is inductive. Miss Wala Rida, do you want to speak? Miss Wala Rida, don't speak? Okay. Miss Wala Rida, can you read it, Miss Wala Rida?
Okay.
Wala or Miss Wala or Mr. Miss Wala, can you read? Okay. Miss Nagla.
Can I read it?
Read it, please.
It's a technique where the teacher provides examples of language item and help the learners to find the rules themselves. For example, they are to a problem
page
meaning various
Various examples, huh?
The second conditional if were you.
If I were you.
They identify the structure for making it.
Okay, thank you. Stages of guided discovery. We have some stages. This is the first one. Who can read it? Who can read it?
I may, man. I may.
Go in, Mr. Ibrahim.
The teacher creates a context to show the meaning of the language using pictures, storytelling, reading, or listening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Another one to speak. Another one. Can you speak, Miss Iman Abdulrahman? Miss Iman Abdulrahman, can you speak? iPhone, can you speak? Okay, Miss Nora? Miss Nora?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, go on. Who is speaking?
I am Miss Nora.
Oh, go on, Miss. Go on, Miss. Go on.
Yes, you want me to read?
Go on.
What does it mean? It's a technique.
No, the teacher.
The teacher.
Yes, the teacher uses questions and activities, e.g. matching activities to guide the learners. The learners analyze and cooperate as they develop their understanding of the language.
Okay, thank you. Another one, can you, Miss Iman Abdulrahman? Can you speak?
Yes.
Go on.
Yes. The teacher elicits the rules from and may get them to complete a gap fill about the
rules. Okay, the last one, who can read it? Another one to read. Who can speak? Who?
Can I, Mister?
Who's speaking?
Okay,
can I?
Go on.
Miss Nafisa?
Miss Nafisa, go on, Miss.
The teacher gives the learner tasks to practice. The tasks can range from gap fills and matching to role plays and writing.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nafisa. This is the last one. Pros and cons of guide discovery. What do you think? What is the pros and cons of the guide discovery? What do you think? What is the pros and cons of the guide discovery?
Yes.
Who can speak? Who can speak? Miss Nagla?
Yes.
Go on, Miss Nagla.
Yes. The pros, it supports active engagement and develop learning skills.
Okay. What is the cons of the of guided discovery?
The cons?
Yes, Mister.
Who's speaking? Who's speaking?
Miss Hasna.
Go on, Miss Hasna. Where is Miss Hasna?
I think the pros, students will actively participate during the learning process.
Okay. Please, Miss Hasna, in the second time, please write your name. Please.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Hasna. Go on, Miss Hasna.
And another pros is support students problem solving.
Okay. Can you read what are the pros of guided discovery, Miss Hasna? Read it, please.
Yes.
Go on.
It involves higher order conjective skills. Learners analyze and discover meaning at their own pace and make connections for
themselves. What are the cons of guide discovery? I want another participant to read them. Sorry, another one to read them. Another participant.
Okay, I may.
Please, Mister. I ask another one. I want to hear some participant. Miss Nagla Abdulalim, can you speak, Miss Nagla Abdulalim?
Yes, Mister.
Go in, Miss Nagla.
Not suitable for all learners' styles.
Okay.
low-level learners may struggle.
Low-level learners may struggle. Okay, we have the last part of our session today. We have an action plan. I have a picture. This is a picture of your book. Siwa is beautiful at Unit 3. I want you to read these questions clearly and try to think. We can discuss this topic, inshallah, in the second session, inshallah. How can we teach? How can we use? Which approach would we use to teach this lesson about Siwa is beautiful? Which approach? From all approach, we have the first 4, and we have another about 6 approach. Today we have 10 approach. I think so. I think we have 10 approach. Which approach would you use to teach this lesson? What activities would you use that would you use that all your students are engaged in this lesson? If you can use technology, how would you use it to facilitate teaching this lesson? Which approach would you use to teach this lesson about Siwa? This is the same question. I ask all of you to take a screenshot for this picture or see it at your book. And try to think of approach which you can use.
What is the grade? What grade is this book?
I think it's in Siwa is beautiful. I think it's in grade 1. I think it's in grade 1.
Unit 10.
Okay, Unit 10. You can search for it, and we can use which approach can we use? Would you use to teach this lesson? What activities would you use that your students are engaged in this lesson? And the last one, if you can use technology, how would you use it to facilitate teaching this lesson? I want to thank all of you for practicing and for participating with me. See you, inshallah, in the second session. Goodbye and good luck, my dear friends. Thank you.
What time, Mac? What time? The same?
Thanks.
In the second time, inshallah, I can do it. I think in the middle of the next week. We are so late to start our sessions, so we can make more than one through these weeks. I hope that it will not take some time for me to be there. Thank you for all of you.
لو سمحت الكتاب يا مستر لو سمحت.
We don't have a book for all of you. If I have a book, I send it for you in NTTB friends group.
PDF, man. PDF.
Inshallah.
Okay, that's all.